sacrificing for another. And all of these things, whether it's learning to be a better communicator, learning mindfulness and meditation, being in shape, if you can translate those things in for another, all of those things start to have a higher purpose.
In the case of health, doing it for another, you're saying that it would be so that I can be here longer for my family, would be a much more joyful, if I had children, for example.
Sure, as long as it's real. It can't be generic.
Right.
You can't just put it out there just so it fills the, Mad Libs and you fill the gap.
Yeah.
You gotta actually feel it, that actually is the purpose.
What he's saying here is that improving yourself physically or mentally has more purpose if you're genuinely doing it for the sake of someone else, someone specific you have in mind.
We don't teach students how to have uncomfortable conversations. We don't teach, we can teach these things all over the place. And I think it's a big gaping hole in curriculum. We teach, maths and we teach English, but we don't teach social interaction. We don't teach listening. We don't teach how to have uncomfortable conversations. We don't teach how to give and receive feedback. Now you tell me which is going to be more valuable for the rest of your life: how to have a difficult conversation or trigonometry.
Yeah.
And shouldn't we be preparing people for life?
And I think that's why the younger generations are complaining about the current educational system. It teaches you all this useless information while not teaching you communication skills or other important life skills.
What are the key ways we can go about increasing our sense of self-awareness so that we can grow and evolve? Self-awareness, I don't know if that's a real thing, but self-awareness seems to be the foundation of personal growth, right? So becoming aware about something in our lives, and people can read, I always say that people can read as many books as they like, but if they're unable to read themselves, they'll never really learn a thing.
Also, another thing that I feel that is important is actually implementing what you learned from reading.
The reason why I think I do use the word brilliance is because you meet people sometimes that have one of the three things.
I believe you used the word genius.
Oh, did I use genius? We'll use genius then. You meet people sometimes who have like one of what I consider to be the holy trinity of like affecting change as an orator. Sometimes they have wisdom, sometimes they're like good storytellers, and then sometimes they have the delivery. But you rarely meet people that have all three. Your delivery in terms of when you deliver ideas, the way you kind of like punctuate sentences and the tone of it keeps people incredibly engaged. And I think you gave me the root cause of that when you said you had ADHD and you're a bad reader because you find it hard to hold, you find it hard for other things to hold your attention. So you're very good at holding the attention of someone else listening. And then the circuitous way in which you deliver a point as well makes it incredibly engaging from a storytelling perspective. And then the wisdom or the simple idea that underpins it that we can understand.
And that's one thing that I really admire about Simon Sinek.
Fine is fine. And then COVID happened. And a lot of people were laid off. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were furloughed. Some people kept their jobs but just lived in fear. And we all kind of made it out okay. We ate, we had food, most people made it okay. Even if it was difficult, they made it through. And so all of a sudden, the great unknown, a lot less scary. And so when you're offering me fine, I choose unknown. That's a better option. In fact, not only do I choose unknown, I'm going to wait until you fix fine. And I don't think enough companies are recognizing that the Great Resignation is an indictment, that the Great Resignation is a wag of the finger, that you have been getting away with substandard culture and poor leadership for too long, and you better fix your stuff.
And the thing about life in general is that you have to learn to do things you're not certain about, to take risks. Otherwise, you spend the rest of your life working for someone else who does.
One of the mistakes I made in my relationship at the start was I would say yes to things that I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
So I created this culture and this like expectation where my partner thought I loved doing X activity at 6 a.m. in the morning because I'd always said yes and I'd always pretended to like it. Now I have to live out that life of something I do not enjoy doing because I lied at the start. And the journey back is not always so easy when you've persisted.
I've made the same mistake on the other side, which is after I broke up with someone when we maintained a friendship and I started dating somebody, or at least started dating, but I didn't want to hurt the feelings of this person that I still care about that we broke up a couple months before, And so I would avoid the conversation, but if she said, "Are you dating anybody?" I'd say, "No, not really." And it's not because I wanted to lie, it's because I don't want to hurt her. Like the intention, of course, is positive.
And I think the underlying issue here is that we are trying to impress or please people when we make our first impression, and then we have to end up living that life afterwards.
That's called a tree of monkeys, by the way.
It's called
A
the
tree of monkeys, which is all the people at the top looking down see only smiles, but all the people at the bottom looking up see only ashes.
oh shit, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I never had that.
And again, you don't have to. I mean, there's different cultures can accept different. There's no right or wrong here. And some cultures may want to implement a peer review that gets included in a promotion package, but it doesn't have to be that. Good leadership helps there as well, which is every senior person knows that they don't get the truth. I mean, even if your people are wonderful and fantastic, people want to tell you the right answer, not because they're trying to lie to you, but they want to please you. Like you knew the more senior you got, it was harder and harder to get the truth. And every senior leader knows that it's hard to get the truth. Every great senior leader also has spies.
And I think this is especially true for people who are seen as unapproachable or have a bad temper, because then no one wants to endure their anger.
Or would you rather grow this? Would you rather do this to tell the truth so it helps others tell the truth to themselves and to others?
Number 2.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And so your podcast absolutely has purpose. And so when you start recognizing that we do this to tell the truth so that others can be honest with themselves and others in a way that they struggle to find anywhere else. And if we're number 1 for a period of time, amazing. But if we're number 2, we'll still do it. If we're number 10, we'll still do it. Because there's a reason to do this that's bigger.
What he's saying here is basically that helping others realize the truth is their mission, something that they'll always do regardless of the ranking of their podcast. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed.